because of love, because of love of knowledge, because of love of knowing, because of love of learning, because we want to know like how things are, how we can move forward, what is the truth, and what are we supposed to take in and what we are not supposed to take in. So on my I have a video that has a very strong message to Christians. I've always been sharing to you guys this very message, that this is not being biased. You can have your own opinion. You're actually supposed to have your own opinion too. You don't need to validate my opinion or invalidate my opinion. You got to have your own opinion. There are 3, if not 4 aspects which are limiting the human power. Humans are very powerful. They can create things, more especially Africans. They can do great things, but there's something that is suppressing them, that is hiding them from knowing that they have this potential to create things. And therefore Africans are become so separate, so apart, that they cannot have a sense of coming together and create something. When you tell somebody to come together and create something, the first question they ask you, what is in for me? What is in for me? Even when you are starting to create something, even when it is partnership, and this partnership has a mutual interest, they will still ask you, what is in for me? So these 4 aspects, which I think limits the human power, more especially Africans. This message is to Africans. Number 1, religious beliefs. Religious beliefs limits human powers, because you just have to believe. You don't need to know. As long as you believe, you are okay. Religious beliefs don't make people to know and become. No, believe. And remember, a belief is like an opium. It keeps you waiting for something to come. Number 2, education. Education gives you hopes. There's something, after studying, there's a good things coming. When you study and pass exams, you're going to live a good life. We have people who are learned in Kenya. We have politicians who have degrees, and still they cannot manage public resources. Like, seriously, is that what we mean? We have people who are learned and doesn't come together and create companies which employs thousands of people. We have guys, education is the number 2nd aspect which gives people, takes power out of people, and gives people hope that after studying there is a whole good life that you're gonna live. And number 3, culture. You have to respect some things. You have to obey some rituals. You have to do you have to witch some people. You have to be jealous of some people. It's culture. Culture produces jealousy people. Culture produces greedy people. Culture produces lazy people. Culture produces witchcrafts. Culture produces rituals, you see. So this is the number 2nd aspect which is limiting human power. Number 3, political affiliations. Politicians and the government have, these are the systems I'm talking about now. The government system is making people depend on them. The president is coming to build roads for us. The politicians are supposed to create jobs for us. The politicians, the government officials, the CSS are going to consider our side. This for us. They come to the ground and tell you how they're going to build heaven on your area. How they're going to make your area look fancy, even when they know you don't deserve this, they will still promise you. At the end of the day, they take power from you. They take power out of you. So you are empty. You don't have power. You don't have anything. So you don't even understand that I have land. I am supposed to cultivate, get money, and feed my family and make my life good. We only complain, not knowing that these 4 aspects are the ones which have taken power out of us. So we are just about empty containers. So guys, without constipating yourself with a lot of information, I want you to take a little moment, step by step, watch this video and make your own conclusion. You can leave a comment in the section below and tell me what you're thinking. Watch this video.
I'm not called to say what people would like to hear. I'm not called to say what tickles the ears of people. I am called to say what people need to hear. There's a difference between what people want to hear, and there's a difference between what people need to hear. What people need to hear makes them uncomfortable, and they would rather not hear it. They need a bold person like me with strong balls to say what needs to be said. People who say what people would love to hear make no difference in life. And I'm glad that I'm one of those few who will say things that would make other people not even decide to even decide not to come to church. Because I'm not here to make you comfortable. I'm here to make you a conqueror. I'm finishing reading this book here. And I'd like the cameraman to zoom it in a bit. I'm just finishing reading this book. I've heard of this book. I looked for it. It's not available in South Africa. I had to go to Amazon in America to get it. It cost me 700 rand to get it. It's a very small book. But I don't regret having gotten this book. The title of this book is How to Make a Negro Christian. Now, after having read this book, I realized that it doesn't talk really about, it talks a little bit about how to make a black man a Christian. It talks more about why is it important to make a black man a Christian. And very few books have broken my heart like this book. I will not lie to you. Very few books have broken my heart like this. Because this book, firstly, brought to my attention that we did not choose to be Christians. Christianity was imposed on us with the most vile, violent, inhuman methods that you can perceive. I'm not one who runs away from such information. I go for it. I look at it straight in the eye, and I deal with it. This book also clearly identifies the fact that for black people to become Christians, it was more for the advantage of white people than it was for the advantage of black people. It served the best interest of white people for me to be a Christian than it does serve my interest. Another point, it talks about this guy called Dr. Reverend Charles Colcock Jones. Dr. Charles Colcock Jones was a slave master who had plantations, about 6, 7 plantations. And in each plantation, there were slaves. There were black slaves. Now, in the north, at that time, black people were not even allowed to worship God. Black people were not even allowed to be exposed to the message of Christianity, because these were savages. These were animals. Now, this Colcock Jones was one of the first people who gathered the people in his plantations, black people, and started sharing the message of Jesus. During that time, there were a lot of slave insurrections, meaning black people who were slaves would wake up in the middle of the night, kill all the white people that were in the plantations, burn their houses, and run away. They knew they would be caught, they would be killed. It didn't matter to them. There are more than 400 slave insurrections that are recorded in America. This is the guy who started saying, let me gather black people and let me teach them about Jesus. Let me teach them about the gospel. And he realized this. The more he taught them the Bible, the more he taught them the Bible, the more tamed, the more docile, the more diluted they became. The more he taught them the gospel, the more humble they became. The more he taught them the gospel, the more a threat, the less a threat they became to white people. And he's one of the few people who never had a slave insurrection in his plantations. Now he took it upon himself to teach white people and said, do not be afraid to teach black people the message of Christianity, because it makes them less militant, it makes them docile, it makes them humble, it makes them controllable. And he went around the whole of the South and he taught them the message. And he taught them the importance of bringing people who are black people to come and listen to the message of Christianity. Now, during those days, black people were not allowed to read. They were not allowed to write. So what he said to them was, give them oral instruction. So it was only oral instruction. Came across one sentence. Even if you didn't hear anything I said, I want you to listen to this. This statement broke my heart. It says on page 74, it is certain that the salvation of one soul will more than outweigh all the pain and the woe of their capture and transportation and subsequent resident amongst us. I'll say it again, explain it, and then I'll shut up. It is certain that the salvation of one nigger's soul will more than outweigh all the pain and the woe of their capture and transportation and subsequent residence amongst us. What this means is that if one nigger, one kafir, becomes a Christian, it will more than outweigh the 30 million plus people that we kidnapped in their homes, in their countries, put them on the deck of the ship under the most inhuman conditions, where more than half of them died en route. And we got there in America. We enslaved them. We raped them. We lynched them. We whipped them. We treated them like nobodies. It says the salvation of one nigger will more than outweigh the pain of more than 30 million people. How dare you trivialize our pain like that? How dare you get to a point where you trivialize our experience to that extent? As you worship God as a Christian, you must always remember to embrace Christianity with a pinch of salt. And be strong in your mind. Be tough in your mind. And refuse to be an object which is just a means to an end. I'll talk about other aspects of this book again next week. I'm angry. I'm furious. I'm furious at the way white people think we are pawns to be played around with. I'm furious. I'm mad. One day, Africa will arise and will bring a total end to this. One day, Africa will arise and will cause this to be just a memory. And I intend to make a huge contribution towards that. With that said, I want to say, I am undeniably, intentionally, deliberately, and unapologetically an African. And I will not be swayed from that because of a plot just to make me subservient and docile. Die Kafer het gepraat. Klap hande vir die Kafer. Onezindlebe akezwa what this black man is saying. I don't say what is popular. I say what is liberating. And I make no apologies for it. Your great-grandchildren will thank me because you are too polluted in your minds by the agenda of white people. Your great-grandchildren will thank me. Amandla! Amandla!